All right, we're going live on a Tuesday, and man, I got a lot of stuff to show you. But first, what am I going to do? First, I'm going to open up a bunch of packs. First, I'm going to take a drink of my ice water. I reuse these cups, so ah, generally I reuse them one time. Like I'll drink all the whatever I got in them out, and then I'll fill them up and then I'll throw them away. But so I did get my order in from Reaper, and these I picked up. Can't wait. You know how Reaper used to do oh, somebody's in chat. Let's open chat. King James, well, no. But how you doing, George? So these are new from Reaper. Like they just started putting these out, and they weren't too expensive. I've got the where did I put the invoice? Oh, right here. So let's see how expensive these things actually were. All right. Okay, here we go. Bones Weapons Mega Pack, $20. So to me, for what you got, this is a good deal. So I'm going to open it and show you guys. And this is brand new. Like I have never seen this before. I have bought many of the plastic Reaper weapon sets and I use them a lot. So for me, it's a great value because I do a lot of modification of miniatures. So the first sprue, this is looks like fancy magical kind of, you got like an angelic looking shield, you got some stabs, some really fancy swords there. Let's see the second sprue. Okay, the second sprue is kind of a weird mix because you got like shields that look like skulls, and then you've got a bunch of other kind of more evil looking stuff, you know. And then of course big ass axes and swords, and I love the hammers and the weird kind of scepter with the wings. That would go great for like clerics. Then number three, this is also I think must be evil because yeah, these are okay. These go to that. Okay, I got it. There's some multi-part stuff in here. I didn't expect it, but it is there. So you got these shields that basically look like demons. Good day. And then you've got a bunch of different, like more evil looking weapons. And like these parts on the other end that look like little whatever, they actually glue on to the stabs here to make like a crazy kind of like a winged skull. So that's pretty wild. And like I said, these are new. And then our last sprue, which is just generic stuff, because you need generic stuff. You know, you've got some big swords, some big spears, bows, arming swords, big ass axes, daggers. I love those hammers, some war axes, crossbows, and then the shields here are just standard, riveted shields. So Reaper just started putting these out, made in USA, and they are really cool. And I definitely, the reason I ordered these is because one of my players uses a great hammer. But hey, Steven, and I don't really have the miniature to fit him. because one, he's got to be very tall, and he's got to have the great hammer, and so I'm just like, what am I going to do? And that's the guy I was showing you the other day, that I took the extra guts miniature I had laying around, and I took the Dragon Slayer off of him, or the Dragon Blade, or whatever it's called, guts, big ass sword. And the intent is I was going to find a two-handed hammer and post onto it. And guess what? That's going to be an easy thing to do, since now I have a big ass two-handed hammer. Yeah. I mean, when I buy historic miniatures, I don't mind if they're true scale too much. And by too much, I mean, okay, I do kind of mind if they're too true scale. But honestly, the whole old school kind of chunky miniatures, I like them because they're a little bit sturdier. They're easier to paint, and they have that kind of look. You know what I mean? That just, they look good. You kind of just, maybe it's because I came up, being super into, Games Workshop style miniatures. But like how a lot of people used to complain that the old Space Marine miniatures, their hands were as big as their heads. But that never bothered me, because I understood that they weren't supposed to be realistic. It was an artistic choice that was being made. So when they start getting even more and more realistic, I think you lose something, unless you're one of those people that just demand your figures be super realistic. But then you think you gain something. But for me, yeah, brother, I appreciate a little bit of girth, or whatever. Greetings and salutations, Elizabeth. So so I got these Reaper miniatures, and I got them all 100% for my, you guessed it, Hyperborea game, because there are things that I intend to throw at my player character group that, Hyperborea has, that I just didn't have miniatures for. So there's that. Now, those of you, I'm always talking about how I like to use my grid. Like, I lay out my dungeon grids. But what I do, I can tell you about this too real quick. These you can get like on Amazon for really cheap. And they come in like a pack of 40, right? They're easy to paint. I like the fact that they're half height, which means they do not interfere with miniatures. People reach in, for their miniatures. And if you want to be really minimalistic like I do, you can just set these things up, like that, and mark corners, right? See, my hand's in the way. Or you can actually draw out the whole thing with these things. They sit really good on the table. You just put them down. They look really good. And the basic set comes with these doors. Now you can see I basically just did the bare minimum paint job on these doors. They should have metal and stuff, right? What's cool about these doors is the actual door unsnaps out. So while you're playing the game, you can put the closed door on the dungeon. And really, I only build the scenarios out if I think there's going to be combat, or if it's important, right? And then when the players open the door, you can open the door to show that door is open. That is a thing I do. And like I said, I got these off of Amazon. They're 3D printed with a filament printer, which the filament printing is getting out of control, let's be honest. And super easy to paint. The thing with filament is it will literally soak paint in. So these, I just dipped them in Vallejo black dip. And if I wanted to do like more detail on them, I could take a lighter gray dry brush, do the same with the wood, and I could make them look really, really good. But honestly, I kind of don't want them to take away from what the player characters are doing. Now, this guy is going to need a little bit of dry brushing on his base, but he is done. I finished him yesterday while we were painting. See if I can get him to focus in. This is a two-headed abomination of a troll. We'll see, he's focusing in back here. Really. So like he's got like a tombstone. He's got like a tombstone tied to a stick as one weapon, and then his big rusty sword. And he's kind of wearing armor, kind of not. And the head of him is a lot more like a Tolkien style troll than a, you know, the skinny kind of lanky D&D or Hyperborean style troll. But, you know, a way to get around stuff like that, if you're worried about it, is, and I suggest don't worry about it, is don't tell the players what it is, you know. That's where I am, George. And the problem, which is not a problem, I don't even know why I said the problem, it's not a problem. Filament printers are getting so good that I've seen miniatures. I've actually bought some miniatures that were made with filament printers that were as good or better than some of the miniatures I've seen made with resin. That is insane. And also, filament printers, they're cheaper, they're safer as far as the chemicals and stuff, and you can get them with like huge build plates where you can literally print out like towers, you know, and I mean like towers. You can print out vehicles, you can print out. So yeah, I think Elegoo just recently came out with filament printer, and they're bragging on the fact that this thing will print miniatures out in high fidelity, or depending on how you set it up, you can have it print out terrain pieces. Like, let me grab this. Well, first off, those walls I just showed you, those are all filament, like I said, but like a terrain piece like this. Now, this was multi-part, and I glued it together. But as you can see, it's like a bridge. You know, you've got like the stairs leading up here, and then it's broken. So I could, if I want to, I could get another one of these and have a gap and just say that I could put it down and say the whole damn table is a river except for here, and over here, and the players need to fight across it or something, right? Now, I haven't finished painting it. You can see how the sides are. But again, this thing is getting painted with this Vallejo game wash right out of the pot. The filament just soaks it up, and then it goes into the cracks, you know, to do the shading. And if I want to actually knock it up a notch, you know, make it a little better looking, take just a slighter lighter gray and do a really light dry brush. Boom, Bob's your scudder, as they say. So yeah, this guy, while I'm sitting here, I'm going to take a little bit of this blue gray color, and just the tiniest amount. I mean, you know, it's like you want to just do the dashiest dash as Double D Show says. And so, you know, rub it on the on your palette until you don't see any more paint coming off, basically. And then hit it. And that's perfect. I do a lot of what I do dry brushing. Those of you who've been around enough to see me do a lot of painting will know I lean hard on dry brushing techniques. You know, I mean, which is, again, the simplest kind of painting, really. So the simplest kind of painting is what I do. That's, as some people would say, the bread and butter. My whole gig is panel paint, wash, dry brush, call it a day. Damn, George, that's not a bad idea at all. So I'm going to set him up here so I can see. And remember, he needs to be lacquered, varnished, whatever. Then let me put my paint up. I'm almost out of this bottle. I'm a huge fan of Ghost White. You know, like anytime I need to take something from a darker color up to white, I always use Ghost White first. And then let dry, and then use actual white, and I have a lot better results like that. So put some more terrain, and see what I'm doing is I have those big, you can barely see it, but you know, those big multi-compartment like craft cases, and I've decided to go through my 5 or 6 things of miniatures and actually organize them by what they are. So instead of having all my stuff mixed up, I'm going to have one miniature case that's going to be nothing but terrain. Right. That is my go-to. That is the standard for me. I understand that I could spend a lot of time working on miniatures, and some miniatures I do if they're special to me. Like when I painted my Sanguinius Primarch model, I spent so much time on that. Occasionally I still spend time on that because, you know, it's special. But, you know, terrain and stuff, not quite so special. So see right here, I have an Ape Lord. That is a big ass Ape Lord too. That guy's huge, right? And he's obviously a smart Ape Lord. He's wearing armor. He's got him a sword. The sword is bent, and I'm not worried about it because if I want to, if I get the gumption to, I will snip that bastard out. And I've got this whole rack of weapons over here. Maybe I'll give him a big ass axe. You know what I mean? So this is a pretty good like call out of what is in this box that I got today. And I just so happen to have a big ass base right here for him to be glued to. So that works out. And the thing is, because of it being a Reaper Bones, it was $4 for that. But yes, going back to the 3D printing thing, the time is probably going to come where I get rid of the last of my resin printers and go 100% just with one of the really good filament printers. Okay, I've got a sealed sarcophagus. I've only got about 15 variants of the sealed sarcophagus, but hey, you know, especially if I run runs of adventure in the near future, and the way I've turned that adventure into mostly about undead with like a vampire lord or whatever running the show, then yeah. So what do we got here? We've got a Yeti, which just looks like a big ape on a round base, so that saves some stuff. And then we've got a Yeti Shaman, So, painted for Frostgrave. Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, though, right? Frostgrave, D&D, Hyperborea. There's so much crossover as far as the miniatures. Now, the bad thing is, I just about got all the miniatures I'd ordered last time painted, and now I've got more to paint, but I don't know if I'm going to be making another order anytime soon. And these, as they call them, Yetis, they just look like big carnivorous apes. So, you know, no big deal there. You can just paint them however you want and call it a day, right? And again, Hyperborea, you need a lot of primates and dinosaurs and other weird stuff. Now, one weird thing that I've got here, very exciting to me anyway, I got gluing together, is a monstrous crayfish. They do. As a matter of fact, based on what you were saying the other day, I went to the store where they sell online the Frostgrave and stuff, and I actually started looking around for some like frogs and stuff, you know. And it turns out that Frostgrave miniatures, they do have a miniature for a killer frog that's actually really badass. So, you know, it's a big frog with a mouthful of teeth. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, you know, I could paint that Joker up. And, you know, there you go. If the characters wander into the swamps outside of Comorium, they could be encountering these killer frogs. See, right now, though, this is something near and dear to me and my brother's heart, in a way, because we used to catch these a lot. But look at that bad boy. Look at that. Plus, you would need one of these if you were playing through the village of Hamlet, because in the dungeon below the ruined gatehouse, there is a giant. And of course, it looks like it's coming up out of the water at you. I like that, you know, how it glues to the base like it's just getting ready to come out of the water to get your ass. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's exciting. You know, that's an action pose right there. So let's line her up. Make sure we got it lined up. Yep. Oh, see? So this is what it's going to look like. Like it's crashing out of the shallow water to try and ambush you, which I assume is what it would do, right? So, and this is hard plastic. This is not their normal plastic. This is like polystyrene, polyethylene. Actually, probably polypropylene, because yeah, this is a hard plastic miniature. So we got to line her up though, because you want all of the legs to line up. There's little areas that are marked for the legs. So there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Actually, very easy. I don't suspect I will need more than one of these, but if I ever do need more than one, I mean, this is a damn good miniature. So consider this whole live stream to be part me just reviewing some of the miniatures that I've picked up, and I'm telling you, the crawfish is a very good miniature. It's a very cool miniature. Very useful, because I mean, a giant crawdad, that could be on so many encounter tables, whether you're talking swamps, you know, outdoors, rivers, lakes, and ponds, and also any sort of underground dungeon waterways. So, and the other thing to say about it would be this too. I mean, this is not just for fantasy D&D. You could use this for Shadowrun. You could use this for any sci-fi type games. I mean, imagine you're playing Traveler and you land on some ancient swampy world and you're wandering around. And you get jumped by this gigantic crawdad looking animal. And, you know, some people might be like, well, why would there be a crawdad on an alien world? And it's like, well, you know, the way like niches work and stuff like that, just chances are, if there were any other life on another planet, it's going to look similar to something on this planet, right? Unless we want to assume that everything on this planet somehow managed to fill the niche it did in the environment, like, but on accident, you know, through just sheer whatever, and that survival of the fittest and all that is not actually a thing. Now, what is this? Okay, I've never owned one of these. It's called a Goralot, but what it actually is oh yeah, all over. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It can be anywhere. Looking for a good. One of these days, I am going to somehow convince the players at my table. Probably not. See, this is me talking shit. It's probably never going to happen. But, you know, I often think it might be cool to play like Traveler or Twilight 2000. But for Twilight 2000, I already know what I would do. And what I'd do for Twilight 2000 is I would basically make the players at my table using Twilight 2000 4th edition rules. So, like, my wife would be like a highly educated person with you know, management and leadership skills and stuff. And then my brother would be like good at driving and pretty charismatic, and he'd have, you know, some gun combat skills and stuff. And I would just go around the table and actually make them in the game. And then I wouldn't make them be in the military. I would either come up with the conceit that they were all on vacation together as a friend group in Eastern Europe, or they're here in Orlando when the first nukes start dropping, and just go from there. You know what I mean? And play Twilight 2000 more as a, you know, post-apocalyptic survival game where they have to find food and ammo and stuff like that. And then if they're like, well, where are you? I'd make up the lie and say I got drafted back into the army to do some shit. Because, you know, you don't know why, but it happened. And so no one knows where I am. I'm just out there in the woods somewhere doing something somewhere. Now, is that believable that I got drafted back in the army? Probably not at 55. Star Frontiers, probably one of my favorite space games of all time. I have a hard time deciding if I like Star Frontiers or Traveler 2300 best. And recently, I've been picking up all of the new 2300 stuff. And yeah, I've been liking it. I have been liking it a lot. You know, it's just been like I recently picked up the Kafer Part 1 and Part 2 books, the Kafer Invasion of Aurora. So Put him down here. And you know what? I'll let you guys see it. You'll probably be in the hospital if it ever happened. Yeah, you would be in some trouble. We would probably have to make some fantasy. So I'm gonna let you watch this. Boom. That's right. Mr. Badass wearing some armor ape. I didn't like that sword to whatever, just not what I wanted. And like I said, I've got all of this. So we'll give him something. I don't know, maybe you guys can help me out if you want to. You can think about it and you can say, does he get an axe, a sword, a hammer? I mean, what does the big ape get? Maybe a spear even. I could give him a spear and make it like he's stabbing down with it, getting ready to stab someone through. Yeah. But we'll set him aside for now. But I just wanted to show you guys, sometimes you just got to do that. You just pick that miniature up and snip that arm right off. Send him on his way. See, now I've got this guy, but the problem with him is some of you may remember years and years ago when Games Workshop did the Avatar Sigmar came back, whatever. You had Sigmar's hammer and stuff. And give him a big Tetsubo. I could do that. Because I've got a big metal Tetsubo made by Reaper. And it would be so easy to just snip the handle off and drill it and put it right on there. And you got a big freaking war club, yeah. So the miniature I got here, and this is not going to be a great one, I can tell, just because of the material. This material is never great. But I'll let you see the face of it. And yes, Gamma World. And every time I've ever ran Gamma World and really, really enjoyed it, George, it was 2nd edition. I have currently in the case here. No, a Tetsubo. You gotta remember, I'm making this figure for Hyperborea. So Asian weapons exist in Hyperborea. I mean, Asians exist in Hyperborea. I was talking to Timmy about it because you know how Timmy's a weeb, right? And he's like, could I play, a samurai? And the answer to that is yes, 100%. The monks that exist in Hyperborea are like Shaolin monks. Oh, you're being silly. Well, okay, I'm sorry. Hyperborea is probably the only fantasy game going other than L5R where the idea of a kung fu monk is not just completely stupid. Like you're looking at let's say Greyhawk. Why would there be a bunch of white supremacist monks, kung fu monks, living in a secret island somewhere, or peninsula somewhere? I mean, is it cool? Kinda, but does it make sense based on the world? Not at all. George, I always tell people if you're going to play L5R, play 1st edition. And the reason, again, is because it is so simple to play. It's like, it's just the easiest version of the game to play. 2nd edition you can play, and it's not bad at all. I think they kind of took a lot of the grit out of the game during 2nd edition. You guys can see what I'm building now, can't you? Yeah, because it turns out so many of the adventures that I've been doing Willet Hyperborea involve aboleths. And it turns out your boy doesn't own an aboleth. However, uh, as I said, Reaper Miniatures, they do in fact sell an aboleth miniature. So here we are, putting together an aboleth. Not really a creature. The monk got a great reworking. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And if you want to be really hardcore, you play like a Mew monk, because the Mu or Mew, however you want to say it, it's MU. So Mu. They're short, they're dark skinned, and their culture is very kind of East Asian, you know. So the idea of Kung Fu monks coming out of that island are pretty believable. But not only that, had your game today. Nice. Hunted swamp devils. Nice. Not only that, but you can then you can justify the fact that maybe you know, a Sifu from that culture opened up a school somewhere else, and just over the years, you know, now you could find a dojo in Cremorium, you know, that's being run by, you know, the student of the student of the student of the original master 500 years ago or something like that. And it doesn't at all interfere with the culture or anything you're trying to do, you know. So yeah, very, very, very good. Very good stuff there. Like I said, like Hyperborea is the game where everything could be. Everything. Like our buddy Satya here in Hyperborea, he could play a Finn if he wanted to. Like, he could play a Finn, he could play a Laplander, he could play a Scandinavian, he could play a Yakut. So, like, you know, the Asian tribes that live north in the north of Russia and Siberia and all of that. It's like all of these things are available, and not only available, but common, you know, like. So yeah, I agree. The aboleth really is a weird Lovecraftian monster, and the fact that it can, you know, turn people into like slaves, that's very Lovecraftian right there, you know. Just the whole, you know, you were jerking around and the aboleth turned you into a slimy slave zombie monster thing, you know. The fact that they're super intelligent, they can have spells, probably even understand. Just speaking for Hyperborea, I mean, you know, the aboleths probably understand a lot of the ancient technology. The thing is, my good sir, is in Hyperborea, literally everything is playable. If it is a human that ever existed, they list the ones that are the more common ones, but if you go through the book, it tells you pretty much. So if I wanted to make a character that was a Kurgan, I could 100% do it. I'd probably, I mean, since there's no attribute bonuses or anything for whatever your ethnicity is, it literally doesn't matter. It's cultural, right? And the Kurgan, and yes, I'm talking like, what's his name from Highlander, they did exist. There is a province in Russia called Kyrgyzstan. They left burial mounds all over Eastern Europe. They were just as big of assholes as they said. Yeah. Well, maybe your game group would like it. Maybe not. I mean, my game group loves it. But You know, this is the part where I'd say, but maybe it's not for everyone, but I disagree with myself. Hyperborea is for everyone, like literally. If you've got a weeb in your group and he like would really like to play a samurai, he could. If you got a guy in your group that wanted to play a Berber, he can. If you got a guy in your group that wants to be a Viking, tons of Vikings. As a matter of fact, the Finns could just fall under the Vikings. You know what I mean? I know that Finns and Vikings aren't necessarily the same thing, but they could fall under that. And the Crimeans, which are pretty much the Russians, you know, Cimmerians, you could throw them in there. Or you could get really hardcore and say that the Finns are actually Hyperboreans. Just make your character a Hyperborean, because a lot of people did believe that the Hyperboreans that the Greeks were talking about were maybe Finns or Russians or Scandinavians. But yeah, the whole stranger in a strange land is 100% a theme, you know. Like the game that I actually got to play in, it happened, and it will happen again in a week, I think. My character is a Roman soldier who just showed up in Hyperborea. Has been there like 2-3 weeks now, 4 weeks maybe. So I barely know how to speak the common tongue. You know, I speak Latin. I'm trying to find other Latins. You know, because a homeless guy told me there was a whole city of people who, you know, looked and spoke like me. So the idea of, if you wanted to be a Laplander or a Finn, or what's the other one that starts with an S? Sami? Yeah, you could do that. I mean, you could do it, and it wouldn't change anything as far as game rules, you know? So you're playing a Finnish ranger. All right. So your character starts the game being able to speak Common and Finnish. And right. Well, here's something I can tell you, though. A lot of the players at my table, not only did I run 5e for a long time, a lot of the players at my table started with 5e. 5e was their first game. And just over time, from hanging out with me, because, you know, they showed up from their 5e games and they're like, pretty much never had played an old school game. And I took them under my wing and I was like, all right, we're going to play some AD&D or something. And there was some culture shock. Like when the first player died from a failed saving throw, there was some culture shock. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the players I've talked about a lot that's in my game group is a Spartan. And he come from a village full of Spartans. But he decided he didn't want to stay in the village. He wanted to actually explore the world. So, but he knows where his village is. We've marked it off on the map. And they are, but he's not from the 300. He's from when the volcano exploded and destroyed the city, and basically Sparta was destroyed by a huge volcano and earthquake. A bunch of Spartans ended up on Hyperborea. Showed them the old ways, and they indeed, Mike. And like I said, so this player was jerking around with yellow mold and ended up failing his saving throw and dying. And the 5e players at the table were kind of freaked. They're like, wait, he's dead? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, he just made one bad roll and now he's dead? And I'm like, yeah. And I could see their brains freaking, you know what I mean? And they're like, okay, huh. After that, they kind of adjusted a little bit the way they played the game. But more importantly, they just dove in. You know, they dove in. They were like, okay, you know. And now, you know, if I talk to them about it, and they're like, oh yeah, they like the more old school game because it has, what do you call it? It has like there's weight to it. You know what I mean? Like when you play a game that's super easy all the time, there's just no actual relevance to it. It's like, okay, we're playing this game, and technically, you know, the chances of not doing whatever you want to do are pretty slim. Not always, of course, but you know. And I hate the fact that I have to qualify every statement before someone says, well, that's not. I'm speaking in generalities for anybody before they want to get all wild with me. But yeah, a lot of times there's just simply, see, these are the metal reaper weapons and stuff. I actually painted them on the sprue, so if I decide to give him that big ass axe, well, that'll be easy, you know. But yeah, there's a name I'm looking for, but really it just comes down to things matter more in old school gaming because you can die. That's pretty much just it, you know. The fact that you can die very easily, and it's not just an easy kind of fix for the group, you know. If someone dies, it's a pain in the ass trying to figure out how you're going to handle that situation. Whereas in 5e, death, while it sucks and can happen, is not really the threat that it is in other styles of gaming. You see what I mean? All right, sleep well. Right, you know, which is why when I ran 5e, I ignored so much of the rules about healing and stuff like that. I just had the players out there just dealing with it, you know, and we ended up having a really good 5e game because of that. Wonder Home. Yeah, that could be a game. I mean, if you're not liking what's going on, maybe you need to just wander your ass back to the house and start planting crops, because the world is dangerous and it's full of dangerous things. And when you're talking Hyperborea, you can like triple that as far as how dangerous the world is, because there's stuff there that is almost beyond human conception, you know. So it's not a matter of, in Hyperborea, it's not a matter of starting in a village and being like, you know what, let's go out and mug some freaking goblins. No, that's not the way it's going to work in Hyperborea. You're not going out to mug goblins. It's more like, hey, I've heard there's these abandoned ruins that are thousands of years old. How about we go check them out and see if we can find some ancient treasures or something. Hey, Timmy. So it's a whole different kind of, like right off the bat, you're dealing with a whole different kind of mental outlook. It's not, we're going to go down the you know, down the way and kill some humanoids. That's just not how things are going to go. It's going to be a lot more weird, like. Oh, it looks too friendly. Wonder Home. I have not even heard of that. And that doesn't mean anything because I haven't heard of a lot of things. And I'll be perfectly honest with you guys. I'm not afraid to admit this. Since I got into Hyperborea, I had not looked at any other like role-playing game. As far as for fantasy. And the reasons are, as I've said, it's like Hyperborea does everything. And that could be ended with a full stop. Literally, it does everything. Everything that you might want a game to do, this game does. Do you want to play kind of historical? Well, yeah, knock yourself out. Do you want to play weird, gonzo, over the top? Yeah, got that. Do you want to play grim and dirty and filthy and, people dying in the mud? Well, yeah, that's definitely a thing. So it's like whatever any other fantasy game can offer you, Hyperborea already does. The only place where I'd say it doesn't would be if you are the kind of person that wants to play a super high fantasy Tolkien-esque world, then Hyperborea may not be the game for you. Unless you decide to add a bunch of, elves and other stuff to it, which you could, but then, are you playing Hyperborea? I don't know. So yeah, there is that. You can 100% play the character you want to play, and I personally love the idea of that.
James, I just thought of something.
Uh-oh.
Hyperborea is an isekai adventure. Prove me wrong.
Well, first off, I don't know what an isekai is, but
okay. In Japanese it means other world, and it's just a genre where somebody gets transported to a different world.
I can't prove you wrong because you're kind of right. You can literally play a character that just got transported to Hyperborea from old Earth. Which means your character would have been thrown through time and space, billions of years into the future. But yeah, absolutely. You're right. It could be. I mean, think about it. I mean, if the DM was willing to deal with it and there was a way to figure out how to even do it, there's nothing saying you couldn't play yourself. It's just, who would you be? Like, you wake up in Hyperborea wearing your Adidas tracksuit and your sneakers, and you don't really know how to sword fight or do anything. You're like a level 0 you. And then the campaign starts, and the whole game is you trying to figure out how not to die. I mean, that is a thing that could absolutely be a game of Hyperborea. It really could.
Play Leon Kennedy in Hyperborea.
I mean, yeah. Play Timothy Pilkington in Hyperborea.
That wouldn't go very well. I would definitely die.
Well, I mean, you wake up, you're like, where the hell am I? So it's pure, like you said, isekai. And then you wander around, and hopefully you meet somebody who don't want to immediately kill you. And the next thing you know, you're in a tavern. And of course, they don't accept your paper money because they're like, what is this?
Or they don't accept card because who has
Yeah,
paper money anymore?
you try to give them like a bank card, and they're just like, "Are you crazy?"
It's like,
So
what's this
then,
piece of plastic for?
so then the question becomes, what does Timmy Pilkington know how to do that is useful enough that somebody might pay him to do it? Like, okay, think about how my character had the secondary skill carpenter. So, I mean, what are you going to end up doing? Are you going to be a carpenter? Are you going to give hand jobs behind a tavern? I mean, you know, that's shit you got to think about, right? And then once you figure that out, then your zero level character might be able to hook up with some other characters, kind of get a little bit of a handle on how to speak the language, at least a little bit, go on a couple of adventures, and then once you've gained, I would say 1,000 XP, maybe less though, I would allow you to find a person to train you to be a class. You see what I mean? So basically, you would start out as Timothy Pilkington from planet Earth, Kentucky, of this era, who something happened, make it up, and you got slung into Hyperborea. And now you're just you in Hyperborea.
Usually it's the Truckcoon of good fortune.
I don't even know what you said, kid, but I like you.
Yeah, usually what happens in an isekai is you get run over by a truck, and that's what usually happens.
Okay, we'll go with that. You're in E-Town, you're walking out of your favorite Mexican restaurant, you get smacked by a freaking truck. And now you're in Hyperborea trying to figure out how not to die. Go. You know what I mean? Are you telling me you couldn't handle that sort of challenge? I think you could.
I don't know.
I think you could. Because we've already said, what's the first thing you got to do? Find
Do
friends.
find a friend, learn
Try
a
not to
profession.
starve to death. Right?
I mean, I got some basic cooking skills. Maybe that.
Hey, there you go. Maybe you go to a tavern and you offer to work in the kitchen just for food and lodging until you can convince a group of adventurers to let you join them. Maybe save up enough money to get some armor and yeah, he was talking about playing a Highlander, but we're going down the rabbit hole of how open Hyperborea could be.
Yeah.
In that he literally could just, like, imagine if I walked out in the street as Let says and got hit by a truck. And then no couches to move in Hyperborea. There could be in Gamorrean. So I walk out in the street and get smacked by a truck, as Timmy says is the way. I wake up in Hyperborea, my old 55-year-old out of shape ass. But I know quite a bit about plumbing. I know quite a bit about construction, framing, etc., right? So if I can make it to a town where those skills are, desirable, I mean, I could at least set myself up for a living. I also know a bit about archery, just due to the bow hunting thing. So,
you know what I'd want to do if I did that?
Mm-mm.
If I actually was isekai like that, probably learn how to learn blacksmithing and then just start making guns.
That's a lot harder than you think, bro.
I know, but
you know what an advantage would be, though, for you if you were isekai or me, if during your adventures you ever found like a gun, unlike all the other players there, you would know what it was.
Yes, we
So
would.
you looked at a pistol, you'd be like, "That's a pistol," So that could be that could be a huge advantage in the long run, not necessarily. And if you want to play a Highlander, that's super easy. He makes a Celt.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'd do.
Celt is a thing, so he just makes a Celt. He says he comes from the mountains and he likes using two-handed swords.
Yeah, if I was to play Hyperborea, that's what I would definitely do.
Yeah, you're just a Celt. I got Celt in the group, except he plays. His character, the way he plays him and everything, is more like the Irish guy from Braveheart.
I'd make him a lot like the Scotsman from Samurai Jack.
Yeah. So eventually, if you got your leg cut off, you'd be like, I'll just put a gun here.
I don't need that part. I'd make him like a loudmouth who uses a sword.
So, you know, a typical Scottish person.
Yeah.
The blue tag special. This bad boy right here is whatever it was, made in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Retails for about $199.99. Yeah, Timmy shows up with his FN. It's all good though until you run out of ammo, and then it's like, well, shit.
Be fun for a while.
Yeah, it'd be great for a while. You're running around with your boomstick, but then
My big 50-round boomstick with like 5 magazines.
yeah, but eventually you're like, well, shit. The boomstick is dry. Now what?
Well, I'd have to make sure to keep getting the casings, learning how to make the bullet tips, learn powder making.
Yeah. That's not likely at all.
Not likely at all.
No.
And even after that, then I would have to learn how to produce the casings in itself because the metal would wear out too much for it to be reusable.
Yeah. I mean, when you fire a weapon like that, maybe 50% of the casings might be reusable.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you'll get stretch and all kinds of shit goes on. Sometimes they'll just tear.
Yep.
And then you have to remember that the gunpowder in that round is not black powder.
No, it isn't. Now
There's a whole different high-tech version of black powder. If you tried to make ammo with black powder for that thing, it might work, but then the weapon itself would jam up about every 10 rounds.
Yeah, it wouldn't work very well.
That's why residue in there would just.
That's why I'd probably be better off learning how to make muskets and and using those.
Or maybe you'd be better off learning how to fire a bow.
Maybe. I don't know how to do that a little bit. Wouldn't be very good at it, but I know how.
Archery is one of those things that most Americans at least kind of have a handle on. When I was in middle school, we had an archery class. Janet, how you doing, Janet?
We didn't, but we did have like a little bow that we bought from, that little, like the Native Americans up in the Appalachia.
Yeah. I bought my daughter a red bear bow when she was young, and a bunch of arrows and a target, and she would go out in the yard and just freaking play with her bow all the time, and she's about 12, but so some people might say, well, that wasn't a very responsible gift to give a 12-year-old kid, but she never killed anybody or herself with it, so I think it was a good idea and kept her busy. She was outside shooting the arrows at stuff.
My brother, he shot a berry out of a bird's mouth.
Damn. Unfortunately, eventually my daughter grew up and decided that boys were more fun than all the other stuff, so she wanted to date and go and be in band and all that. And I was like, brah. A bear compound bow. I had the red bear, the bear red, just fiberglass bows. That's what I bought for her. It might have been a 50-pound pull, maybe. And
when we were kids, we would play with BB guns.
Oh well, no, that's what me and my brother shot each other with. Yeah. I wouldn't shoot anybody with a bow. I mean, that's
That's
serious injury right there.
yeah, that's serious injury right there. You don't do that.
But I mean, Hungar and I, we used to make our own bows too, homemade. And I just said I wouldn't shoot anyone with a bow, but one time I did shoot my uncle George in the neck with a
Ooh.
homemade bow. Thank God it was a homemade bow, and I was just using like a piece of dried alfalfa as the arrow. So a nice straight piece, but it was really thin and brittle. It hit him in the neck though, and it like went through the skin, but not into the meat, and it was like wobbling. And he just started screaming. And I was like, "Yeah."
Time to get out of here.
I was like, "Yeah."
Time to
Well,
run.
no, my uncle was a pain in the ass. That one, you got to remember, one grandma had 8 kids and the other one had like 9. So when it comes to uncles and aunts, I have no shortage of either.
Eh.
You know, and I have uncles and aunts that are actually younger than I am.
My uncle on my mom's, well, one of my uncles on my mom's side was a jailbird. The other one, who married my aunt, was a guy who worked with fireworks a lot, so he was cool.
So he was cool because
Yeah.
he blew shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. My grandma told me a story once that some people from like Louisville came into Appalachia to try to explain like birth control and stuff. My grandma ran her off of the property.
The proper response.
Yeah. Because it was like, one, what are you doing here from the city? And two, as my grandma said, she said she told that woman she loved every single one of her kids and wouldn't give one of them up. And so the whole talk about, uh, you know, ending the fetus and or birth control was just my grandparents were of that generation where they were not hearing it. But then again, they also married the first person they'd ever slept with, so it's like,
Again, the proper thing.
yeah, the proper thing, but not the world we live in now, Tim.
No, sadly.
So when that lady come up there talking that shit, my grandma was like, yeah, you are not welcomed here. So, but that should kind of be the state motto of Kentucky anyway. You are not welcome here.
Yeah.
That could easily be the Kentucky state motto.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. Yeah, totally. It's like I always joke about that one guy that does the southern stereotypes. He's doing the stereotype of when you pull over and ask for directions. Like every other southern state is cool. When it gets to Kentucky, it's like the guy from Kentucky who's wearing a UK hat. The first thing he says is, "Who sent you here? How did you find this place?" And then after that, he's like, "I think you better turn around and get going back the way you came." It's like, and the guy's like, "Kentucky, no." But like in Louisiana, the guy's like telling him where to go, and the guy's like, "I don't know what." And the guy's like, "Just slide over, I'll drive you."
Slide around, drive you.
And then the Georgia guy's like, "Well, first you want to go down to the Dollar General and take a left until you see another Dollar General, and then you take a right at that Dollar General, and there'll be a Dollar General ahead of you, and it's just to the left of that Dollar General." It's like so true. If you've ever been to Georgia, there's literally a Dollar General everywhere.
I've only passed through Georgia.
Oh yeah, Dollar General.
Going to Florida.
Corn mash. I don't know. Like, you don't have to be involved with bootlegging or anything in Kentucky to just hate everyone else.
Nope. It is.
It's kind of just the natural state of living.
Although that's more of an Eastern thing. I think they are a
It
little
is
bit
more of an
friendly.
Eastern thing. You get to Paducah and people are super nice.
Yep.
They wave, they love you. You know, once you get out of the mountains, Kentucky becomes like one of the friendliest states ever. But once you get in the mountains, it becomes one of the weirdest states ever. And it's because, like I said, you know, nobody wants anyone around unless they're related, married to something. And everyone is just really kind of insular, you know?
Yep. Kentucky
And
is a mesh of a lot of different groups. It really is.
for sure. Because you go east, and eventually you're going to get to West Virginia or North Carolina.
Yep.
And it's like you're going to run into Cherokee. You're going to run into just lots of stuff.
Yep.
And if you go west, eventually you might as well just call it Indiana. You know, and you run into a lot of farmers and horse
breeders
and stuff. Yeah. The family was from West Kentucky. Yeah, West Kentucky is a beautiful place as long as you stay away from Louisville.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You don't want to ever go to Louisville unless you really have to. But like all those little farm towns, like near Bowling Green and west of that.
Man, Bowling Green, yeah.
Yeah.
Been a little bit since I've been to Bowling Green.
Yeah, the people are nice. Everything's nice. And then the further east you get, the less that you get.
I think used to, I'd sometimes go to Bowling Green, but we'd usually still just go to E-Town.
Right. Well, E-Town is cosmopolitan for Kentucky. I mean, it's near military base.
Yep.
You know, there's all kinds of stuff there. You could do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, right. And the thing is, though, as weird as we are in East Kentucky, Western North Virginia and Western West Virginia are the same. You know, it's like, you know, even like the far east Ohio and Pennsylvania kind of got that. It just something about living in the Appalachians, just, you know, makes people different.
Mountain folk, man.
Could be inbreeding. It could be, you know, ancient magic.
It could be just like, yeah, tight-knit communities don't want outsiders.
Yeah, well, because think about it, though, for so many years, and by so many, I mean hundreds of years, when outsiders showed up in Appalachia, it was never a good thing.
Never a good thing.
You know, it was always something bad. It was always somebody trying to take advantage of the people, you know.
Carpetbaggers, man. Carpetbaggers.
Carpetbaggers wanting to open factories or mines and then pay the people basically trash wages so that you'd pretty much become a debt slave. Like that song about the company store. That's actually a true thing that they would do.
Yeah.
You know, they would pay you trash, but allow you to use your credit at the company store, and then you would end up so in debt that you could never quit. You're basically a slave. And another thing they did to keep the people, Dead Horse Tavern near your family's farm, nice. Another thing they did to keep people in Kentucky downtrodden was some of those mining companies would pay in like their own currency.
Yeah, they make you pay in their own. They pay in their own currency. Have you live on their land.
Yeah, so you basically again become an indentured servant because they're not paying you in U.S. dollars. They're paying you in their mining script, which you can always spend at their mining store and their company stores again.
Which really should not have been legal. I mean, that's just wrong.
Yeah, but at that time, the government wanted the cheap coal. Yeah. So every time the people of Kentucky rose up to try and put an end to that shit, the government would send troops down and we'd fight a little bit of a war, and then, you know, they would win, and then we would go back to the same old shit for a few years. And I mean, that's why there's so many stories and songs and stuff about Harlan, bloody Harlan,
Oh yeah.
you know, because of how many labor uprisings happen in Harlan, because they're sick and tired of being abused by these giant mining companies that were generally owned by people from up north. And so soon after the Civil War, that was also another bitter pill to take, you know.
Oh,
That
dead
you had a
horse
bunch
hollow.
of Yankees down there. Freaking
Okay.
Dead Horse Holler, yeah.
I was more down by Mammoth Cave.
Great place. Weird, but awesome. I always tell like my family members that's never been to Kentucky, like my in-laws, if they ever get a chance to tour Mammoth Cave.
Yeah, Mammoth Cave or the Cumberland Gap. Heck, in the more northern part of the western part of Kentucky, there's the whole Trail of Tears that you go down.
Yeah, I don't live far away from the Cumberland Gap.
Yeah.
Like I said, where I grew up on the farm, we could walk to the Cumberland River.
I could have walked to Mammoth Cave.
Right. And we did.
Yeah.
Hunger and I walked to that river all the time, and we'd camp out and go fishing and basically get in trouble down there.
Now, the Green River would have been a little bit harder for us to get to.
And that would not be the Green River up in Washington State or wherever, where the one guy dumped like 60 hookers or something. Yeah, we don't. It
don't
wouldn't
have
be.
that.
Yeah,
No, the Green River is a different river there.
Yeah. Well, we not only had rivers, but we had creeks that anywhere else in the world would have been called rivers.
Yeah.
Like Rock Creek, Beaver Creek, whatever.
Yeah.
They're so big and deep, and they run for so far that if they were in Florida, they would be called rivers. But up there, the rule I heard is if it's not 100 miles long, it can't be a river. Do I know if that's true? I don't know if that's true.
I don't know either.
But
I never thought about it.
right. And then what would happen is every year in the spring, the frickin' Rainbow Tribe would come down to like Beaver Creek, and they'd set up a camp, and they're like bathing and swimming and doing a lot of drugs.
James, have you ever been to the Natural Bridge?
Yes, I don't live far from it.
Nice.
As a matter of fact, I don't live far from Black Mountain. You know where Black Mountain is? You heard of
Yeah,
it?
I'm pretty sure I've been there.
Well, yeah, it used to be a big state park, and then they closed it down and put a bunch of signs saying enter at your own risk.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you can still go there, but they're just letting you know if you die, that's your fault.
Okay.
Heading west down Cumberland Gap to Johnson City, Tennessee. The last time we were up, we stayed at Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and then we went north up the Smoky Mountain State Reserve through North Carolina and Tennessee, and then we crossed over the top of the Appalachians, which was crazy because there were like circles where you would go around and go through a tunnel, so you actually drove under, you know. And my wife was not super pleased with it because most of the time there's a cliff on one side and you're looking down like 1,000-foot drop. And being, I guess, that she learned to drive in, you know, Chicago and Florida. Yeah, driving in Kentucky was a little bit of a new.
To be fair, I was always a little afraid to go across the bridge in Brownsville. It's pretty far drop if it ever broke or anything. I even had a nightmare about that.
Hunger and I went underneath the railroad bridge that crosses the Cumberland on that walkway. and we crossed over that, and that river is at least a quarter mile, maybe more wide. And but we used to be pretty fearless when we were young too, you know. It's just like it was just the thing. We would just do stupid shit, and that was one of the stupid shits we did. But so yeah, I am fixing this guy up. I'm modifying some dudes to make them more Hyperborean. You know what I found out?
What's that?
You can play Hyperborean in the Conan 2.20 game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, far to the west of Nordheim and Vannerheim and Azerheim is Hyperborea. It's north of Brethunia.
You want to hear what I found out?
Yes, of course.
My old hometown, Brownsville, was actually a place of a skirmish in the Civil War.
Of course it was. I've heard of that.
It was a Confederate victory because what it was, the North tried to stop the Confederates from moving supplies from there, and they failed.
And my hometown, no one even knew existed. So I removed the Dragon Slayer sword from this miniature of guts, and I replaced it with a big ass hammer.
Nice.
Because this will end up being my brother's character.
Cool.
He's already got one that's kind of cool, but I'll paint this guy up and make him even like cooler, which means I'll have to paint any of his visible skin really, really pale. And his hair will have to be really pale yellow or white because he is a Hyperborean. But, you know, I need him to be tall and badass, so there you go. But oh yeah, I mean, dragons aren't a thing that I really need to deal with, since all I have to do is put them on my wish list on Amazon, and then every year my sister-in-law or whatever will buy them for me. So I never buy myself Reaper dragons anymore. And so far they bought me like hell, I don't know, a lot of them. Like this one's just sitting here. See, it's just a random dragon just sitting next to me. But I mean, I've got a green one, a blue one, a red one. My sister and brother-in-law, they always hook me up when it comes to that, you know, because Christmas is a thing, and when it comes around, and if they don't know what I want, they just go on Amazon, and if they see like dragon, $20, they're like, yeah, there you go, and there I go. There I go again. Right. I wonder where my damn brother was. He said hi and then kind of skated out. Like, it's not a good sign when your brother shows up and then leaves. It's like wow, how boring am I? My own brother's like, fuck this guy. I'm gonna go play Pokemon. That is a nice black dragon. However, the wings were weird. Like this wing over here curled over the top, and no matter how I tried to fix it, it would not hold the shape. So what I ended up doing is taking my drill press, holding it straight and drilling down it and running a rod down it And because I used a copper rod, I could bend it. And that's how I ended up getting it back in the shade. All right, Timmy's showing us some weird alien shit over here.
Nah, I just changed my character image, or my image on here.
What is that?
The Eye of Xana.
The Eye of Santa?
Xana. Xana, Xana.
What is that?
It was the villain of Code Lyoko.
Okay, don't even know what that is either, so.
Cartoon series from France that was really weird.
You're doing good. You keep showing me shit that I just have no idea what you're even
Really
doing.
good sci-fi style story about an evil AI that was trying to destroy the world.
I don't know if I like the idea of that. Why the evil sci-fi or the evil AIs? Why can't they just leave the world alone?
I don't know. They just can't.
Yeah, they're like, look, I have to destroy the world. Yeah.
Well, a bunch of school kids had to stop them by going into a virtual world and fighting them on there. Xana was very creative with his plans. He used a space laser to shoot at them, or tried to run a bus into a nuclear power plant.
That's
He
yeah,
did a lot.
that's pretty creative.
Took control a bunch of crows to attack them.
Pros.
Crows, yep.
So squaw.
Yeah. Or rats. He's done that before. The first one you'll find is actually he took control of a teddy bear and made it giant to attack him.
A giant teddy bear.
He made the teddy bear bigger though over time. It started out like small, running around, gained power.
All right. Good to know. I guess.
It's a good series if you really want a good sci-fi story.
Yeah. I watched a show the other day that I don't know, you weren't on, but it was called The Tank. And it was about the crew of a World War II German Tiger tank on the Eastern Front. And it starts out as a war movie, and then it becomes like a supernatural movie. The Eye of Santa, right? You're like, hold on now. Yeah, and so it starts out like a World War II. Okay, German guys are in a tank. They're on a mission to go do a thing, whatever, right? And then by the time it's done, it's like, all right, the F is going on here. You know what I mean? Like, and it had some really creepy shit, like the radio man. Every time the commander of the tank, he'd be like, he'd tell the radio man to go online and like, you know, try to find a signal. And the only signal he could ever get was like a church group performing a Latin mass. And, you know, it was got one of the guys was getting freaked out by it. And the lieutenant's like, why do you care, right? And the radio operator's like, we're in the East. They're Orthodox here. And he was like, you know, and they're like, what? But the whole time the radio is going, it's just the mass, you know, it's like the Roman Catholic Mass, right? And it just goes and goes and goes. And the spoilers, Tim, they're all dead. Yeah. The first 15 minutes of the movie, you see them die. And then the next thing you know, the lieutenant walks up and asks how the tank is. And the mechanic's like, beaten up, but he'll be fine. And then they get a secret mission to go into the East to find this colonel. And slowly over time, you come to the conclusion that, yeah, they're not only dead, they're actually in hell. And the way the movie worked was so freaking, like, there's a scene where they get into a fight with an Su-122, so a Soviet self-propelled gun, right?
Yep.
And an Su-122 can blow a hole right through a Tiger, so they're like fighting with this thing and trying not to die. They end up putting a round through it, and the young man on the tank crew, when he walks up and he looks where the armor had blown away, the guys on the inside are skeletons. So he starts freaking out because he's like, there's no way they could have burned up like that. And of course, Lieutenant's like, it don't matter, whatever, you're imagining shit. But no, it was a tank full of undead soldiers they were fighting, like, but they never knew. They never knew is the thing, that
Yep.
Like I said, it was a weird movie. I was watching it before bed, and my wife came in, and she's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "I have no freaking clue, honestly, what I am watching. This is some weird ass shit." So then she starts watching it, and we're both sitting there just like, "What in the hell is going on here?"
That's what I was thinking whenever I watched this wood anime called Aeon Flux, I think, or something like that. It was weird.
Dude, Aeon Flux is old school, man.
I know, but I remember watching it as like a little kid trying to stay up for a different anime, and I'm just like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, because Aeon Flux is what they would show in between shows on like Cartoon Network when you watch Toonami.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like Aeon Flux, and she always dies. That's kind of the whole deal with Aeon Flux. She always dies.
Maybe it was something else then, because I also thought that there was a whole bunch of little shorts in this anime or something.
No, all Aeon Flux was like 5-minute episodes, and she died in like every one. And it would always be some really stupid way of dying. Like she would be like walking across that a ledge on a building and step on a nail, or something.
I remember that. But wasn't there like this one thing about like these kids finding spots where gravity doesn't work so right or anything?
No, I don't remember that. You gotta remember though, when I was watching Toonami, you would have been like 7.
Yeah.
There's a whole different situation going on here. You would have been a little dude, and I was watching Toonami specifically to see if I could catch an episode of Cowboy Bebop.
Cowboy Bebop, I watch that a lot.
Trigun. Not my favorite, but I would watch it.
I like it. That was my favorite.
Star Wars yesterday. Okay, which one?
Yeah, the good ones or the bad ones?
Right. And depending on your age group, that depends. Because a lot of younger people think that the ones we don't like were actually the good ones.
I'd say that 4, 5, 6 were really good. The prequels were pretty good. I liked them.
Right.
There were issues, but I think they got a little bit more hate than they should have.
Kenny proving my point over here. I think the prequels were weird in that they got better as they went on. I don't know if that's weird or not, but like the first prequel was like whatever, and then the second prequel was like, okay, this is starting to get really good, especially the very end when it switches from the Republic to the Imperial March as you see all the Clone Warriors loading up.
Clones, yeah.
And then the third prequel was like, all right, this one's okay, So basically, the one where you have the young Anakin, yeah, that one sucks. But when Anakin grows up and starts being a dick, it starts getting a lot more interesting. Just ignore every scene that has Jar Jar Binks in it, and you're fine.
About that, I wonder what would have happened if everybody didn't hate Jar Jar.
Well, the thing is, Lucas, he loves stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
So Jar Jar is the lazy Jamaican that's kind of stupid. And then the one guy on Tatooine is obviously the greedy, selfish Jewish guy. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I think there's a little bit difference in this, actually. Because you know how you say he loves his stereotypes? He also likes certain other type of things. Like the weird old mentor type of character. Like how Yoda started out.
That's just the hero's story. In the hero's story, you always have an older mentor train the young farm boy, and then at some point die.
But here's the thing:
if you watch Aragon, the same exact thing happens.
Do you remember how Yoda was first introduced in the original series?
Yeah, you had to go to
Dagobah, where
Dagobah to seek out Obi-Wan's teacher.
Yeah, but how Yoda was actually shown to be was like a crazy old hermit, and then it just turns out, oh no, he's this crazy strong Jedi warrior. Well,
I think, and you can say I'm wrong here, and I will just think that you're wrong. I think the whole crazy hermit act Yoda put on was an act.
Yeah, it was an act.
It changed. At first, he was just annoying Luke Skywalker to death, doing stupid shit. And then the next thing you know, though, yeah, it
was. I'm not saying that he was crazy. No, it was an act. It was definitely an act. But see, that's what it was with Jar Jar, actually. If they kept the original story.
Jar Jar was an idiot. They kicked him out of their freaking club for being retarded.
Did you see how they acted towards him, though? It wasn't that he was a crazy fool. It was more they feared him. You don't fear the Joker. The crazy one. You fear somebody who has power.
I get it. You want to defend your bad choices as a child. That's fine.
I didn't like Jar Jar myself, but the thing is,
Jar Jar
looking back at
horrible. But Wadu or whatever his name was.
Watto?
Yeah, that dude was a straight up, your Jedi mind tricks will not work on me. I love money.
Yoda didn't always get his ass handed to him. He usually put up a great struggle. Somebody said Yoda got his ass handed to him all the time. Like he never really got his ass handed to him. Any fight he's been in was either really close or he won.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever it came to Count Dooku ran away. And the Emperor, he barely lost to.
I like Count Dooku.
Yeah, Count Dooku was a cool character.
He was a cool character.
That's why I like the Tartakovsky cartoons a lot. They made a lot of cool characterizations in that.
Right. But anyway, I knew though, just based on your age.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, even Lucas said that Jar Jar was the key.
Well, the key to the Emperor taking over, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. He was the key because he was also a Sith.
That's shit that they talk about later. Okay, here's the thing I can explain to you a little bit, Stephen. Yoda was a consular, right? Obi-Wan was a warrior, a knight. Within the Jedi Order, they actually had the Jedi split between, the knights and the consulars and the, basically your politicians and stuff.
Yoda's still a very awesome and powerful fighter.
I'm not saying he was weak. Calm down, bucko. I'm saying he was trained primarily to be a wise, figure it out diplomat type guy.
Yeah.
Whereas Obi-Wan was trained to whip people's ass. That is what he was trained to do. He was a Jedi Knight. He was trained to lightsaber somebody right in the face. And that is the big difference between the two of them, you know.
And Obi-Wan, he really did it.
Jin was not even a Jedi Knight. He was a consular too.
Yeah.
That's why they sent Qui-Gon Jinn to try to talk to those people.
Yep.
Because if they don't send a consular, then you're in trouble. You know, because it means they're coming to whip somebody's ass, is what's happening, right? So
The thing is, Obi-Wan also wasn't very strong in the Force. He had to rely on his lightsaber training.
Right. Compared to Qui-Gon Jinn or a lot of the other Jedis, Obi-Wan really would have just been the brute force guy. He would have been the guy that ran up, whipped that lightsaber out, and started beating ass. You know, whereas whatever. Now, in his later years, yeah, Obi-Wan had some force powers, but and Anakin was also a Jedi Knight. Straight up. He was not there.
Anakin could have been a very, very powerful Force user, but he more focused on his
because rage.
Yeah.
Having that kind of rage in you makes you more powerful as a warrior. Coco, what's up, brother? Playing Star Wars Dice 6 and you're stoked, you should be.
Yeah.
Unless your DM is like been dropped on his head as a child or something like that, you are going to have an amazing time. Star Wars D6 is amazing, but I'm going to warn you right now. No matter how tempted you are to want to play a Force sensitive, just don't do it.
Nope.
It never works out. You'll end up being a joke, and you'll suck. And a guy playing a straight up bounty hunter will smoke your ass. Now, is this like me being a little bit of a min-maxer? Maybe a little. But I'm telling you.
Yeah, I see what happens whenever you min-max to just deal with Jedi. It's broken. They had so many cool little toys
they're
for
not
you to
as
mess with.
fun because in order to do anything worthwhile with the Force, you have to devote so much of your character to it, right? Yep. Meanwhile, the guy playing the average bounty hunter, soldier, whatever, he's just dumping shit into all of his cool skills. And like, so in combat, you're like, going to make up.
Oh, we lost James.
Oh, I'm back.
No video though.
Yeah, let me switch this. There we go.
Yeah, well, it's frozen now.
Yeah, there's something going on with the camera real quick. But a Wookiee? Oh yeah. So you're gonna go hardcore into like melee and stuff like that. You're gonna have like a massive strength ability and toughness. I mean, yeah. And plus, if you want to be like a freaking Chewie, you can always throw a bunch of points into like mechanic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know.
I think if I went with Star Wars D6, I would be, kind of like a bounty hunter. Get the wrist flamethrowers and e-web throwers or something.
Freaking the ice cream truck guy is out there.
Yeah, get a slug thrower just to really dunk on the Jedi.
Oh, yeah, shotgun.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Dunked on him. Yeah, run up on him with the shotgun and just be like, blam. Camera overheating? Possibly.
Yeah.
Something could be overheating. I'm filling the deck, though, and it's nice and cool. Everything's nice and cool. There's no reason for... Okay, let's go up here. Mm, yeah, it's still not bad, but probably. So I need to probably do is I have a fan at the same time, and I probably
Another thing you could do is get like the shape charge explosives.
should. Wait, what?
Shape charge explosives.
Oh yeah, you're talking about in Star Wars. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wookiee with an 870. That's what I'm talking about. Let that Wookiee run amok with a shotgun. Just be like, blam, blam. That's right. You thought it was going to be a way, and then it wasn't. It was a totally different way. And now you get to suck it. You Jedi. Yeah, yeah. Like in, I have Star Wars Saga Edition. They did a great job of kind of making it where you could play Jedi and other characters, and it was pretty balanced, pretty fun. And then if you got the expansions so that you could play Legacy or whatever eras, then you could have a lot of fun with that game. You really could, you know.
I think it needs to be all Jedi or no Jedi.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would totally agree with that. I'm just saying that with Dice 6, yeah. Because in Dice 6, unless you get some of the expanded stuff, they don't even have rules for real Jedi. I mean, they do, but not in the basic stuff.
That's
And
also what ruined Star Wars Galaxies. They added Jedi and couldn't balance it properly, especially with how the
you're not wrong.
publishers wanted.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They added Jedi to Star Wars Galaxies, and it was just like, wait, what? And then the way they tried to balance it originally, I don't know if you remember.
I remember them talking about it. It was basically super rare and hard for anybody to become a Jedi.
And if you got killed as a Jedi, it was permanent.
Yep.
That was their original idea. And it was just like, wait, what? So I'm going to. And they didn't tell you how to become a Jedi.
Nope.
You had to figure that shit out. So
Yeah.
when my brother and I played, we were just straight up freaking Star Wars Galaxies. I was like a bounty hunter, and he was, I think, also a bounty hunter. So we pretty much just ran around with blasters, doing blaster type shit, you know.
Yeah.
I was like that one little kid from the memes. I want to hang out with my hood rat friends and do hood rat shit. That was me. And Hungar was my hood rat friend. So yeah, we were just running around, you know, doing stuff, hunting freaking aliens and animals and trying not to get murdered by everything. And it wasn't bad. And then, of course, when we played Star Wars, The Old Republic online, I played a Sith warrior. So, like Darth Vader.
Yeah, I mean Jedi Consular.
Gay.
Oh god, that was a bad idea.
Gay. Yeah, the Jedi warrior or the Sith warrior. I had like force choke and force slam and throw and I was like just badass with the lightsaber. And then later I made a Jedi or a Sith mauler, and that's the dual wielder. So you can't wear as heavy of armor, but the DPS is out of the, you know, just
yeah. I played a Marauder.
But back to what we're talking about though. Yeah, Coco, you're gonna, I think, absolutely have a blast with Dice 6. Who's running the game? Bear? Or someone I don't know? I think Bear would be a good DM for Dice 6. I really do. And I know he likes it. I'm pretty sure I remember we talked about it. He said that he really liked it. So, yeah. Yeah. So.
One thing I gotta say is that the consular story was very boring at first.
The Sith Warrior story was awesome, and
Yeah.
I got my apprentice by killing that Jedi and forcing the Jedi apprentice to become my apprentice, and then I knocked her up, and
Boo! That was a better companion.
I don't know who Thruxus was. Well, no, I had a ton of great companions on my Jedi Warrior. I had like the hot Twi'lek.
Yeah, that was the best romance character in the Warrior
And
lot.
then I had the Jedi that I corrupted. Yeah, she wasn't great because after you knock her up and everything, she just kind of leaves. She don't want to deal with you. It's like, damn, make me feel bad and shit.
The one thing I liked about Vet was just how her attitude towards everyone. She was just so snarky, and it was hilarious to see her just like make fun of everybody.
Yeah, yeah. She was a cute blue split tail. So I mean, come on. Everybody had to love Vet or Vet.
Vet, it was.
She's your first, whatever.
Your first companion in the thing, and it's just so hilarious. While you're in there, she's just like making fun of this guy, torturing her, and he's just like fed up with it.
Yeah.
He's just like, what is wrong with this woman?
Well, because she had been enslaved off her world and mistreated. And so at that point, she's just like, yeah, whatever,
It's just another day.
Right? That's
just
basically
another day in the Game Y, I guess.
Another day, and that's something I always thought about. If the Jedi are so good, what's up with all the slavery? Right? Like when Qui-Gon Jinn is on Tatooine and meets Anakin's mom and she's a slave, why doesn't Qui-Gon Jinn just stick a lightsaber through that asshole and free her?
Because they got to start with the Republic, and the Republic's turning a blind eye to it.
Tatooine was part of the Republic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah. So that means that slavery must have been acceptable by the Republic.
Yes. In certain parts of the Republic, they allowed it.
And that means the Republic is not good.
No.
So, I mean, I know the answer people can have is, well, the Sith allowed slavery too. Yeah, but the Sith didn't pretend to be good.
No. The Sith are like, we just want power. I don't fucking care.
Right. Right. They want power, and they don't care what they got to do to get the power that they want. But the fact that the assholes claiming to be the good guys aren't.
Let's just say this. If the slave was powerful enough to free himself, they'd be like, oh, well, you know what? You're no longer a slave then.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, wasn't it? Power.
Yeah. The whole Sith code was like, hey, if you're strong enough, you can break out of slavery.
Right. That was that was the thing, right? It was like, what is it? My passion gives me something, and then
passion gives you strength. Strength gives you power. Power breaks chains, or something like that.
Yeah, so that you can be free. But
I could actually look up the Sith code. It wouldn't be even that hard.
Don't know who Thruxus is, but I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, yes, you're going to love it. You're going to have a great time. Now, I hope I'm not lying to you. So whoever Thruxus is, dear Lord, do not let me down, brother, because I'm talking it up. I'm really like trying to put you on fire over here in front of our buddy. But yeah. I think you're going to absolutely have the time of your. I mean, the Star Wars Dice 6 game. I wouldn't say it's the kind of game I would play for years, but for like a 6-month campaign, you can't beat it. It's like, it's so good. It's just so freaking good. And I'm lucky in that I have some of the original West End Games books, and I'm also lucky in that when Fantasy Flight, I think, decided to sell the 2 core books in a split, I bought that shit. Yeah, I was like, definitely, right? I don't know if they still sell it. If they don't, they should. We've played it multiple times. It's kind of an in-between game for us. It's kind of one of those games where we just finished a major campaign and we're like, okay, what do we want to play next? And it's like, not really sure. And then, somehow or another, somebody says, how about Star Wars D6? And it's like, yeah. And then we play Star Wars D6 for probably 2 or 3 months until we figure it's time to move to whatever we're going to move to. So the last time we played Cyberpunk, we're having a lot of fun. Cyberpunk ended, and then we decided, okay, we'll play something, but we don't know what yet. So while we're figuring it out, Star Wars D6, and then after we played D6 for, again, it was a couple months, at least 2 or 3. And everybody was having a good time, but we all agreed it was a good place to end it. We moved to, I want to say OSC or AD&D. It's kind of like the other one that we do that with a lot is not Star Frontiers, Shadowrun. We'll like take a break from Shadowrun, and then or we'll take a break from a game and be like, okay, what other game are we going to play? Not really sure yet. And so then we play Shadowrun for like a month while we think about it. You know what I mean? And now if I know it's going to be a very short break and it's only going to be 1, maybe 2 nights, I'll break out Call of Cthulhu. And, we'll play through one of the adventures I own, or a scenario from the Mansions of Madness adventure book. But we've never actually played a really long campaign of Call of Cthulhu, which some people will say, well, yeah, as intended, like, no one plays a long game of Call of Cthulhu. It's just the way that game is. But I think you could. You just, I don't know. But I think you could.
So, James, the Sith code, peace is a lie. There's only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall set me free, or shall free me.
There you go. So, I mean, on the outside looking in, that code doesn't sound bad at all, does it?
No, it's kind of true.
Because, yeah, you're right. He's not wrong. There is no peace. There's only passion.
And to be fair, there have been...
It's just about wanting to be free.
There have been Sith who aren't just completely unabashedly evil, too. So it's like a thing of... You'll sometimes find that.
Well, like, what was his name? Plagius?
Plagius the Wise? I don't know if he was completely unabashedly evil. He was ambitious, definitely.
Well, I mean, wasn't he the guy that supposedly brought someone back from the dead?
Well, yeah, he wanted to learn about eternal life, so he was just studying the force powers to see if he could do it.
And then Sidious killed him.
Yep.
Because Sidious, no matter what anyone thinks, is the most powerful Jedi/Sith Lord ever.
Yeah. I don't know. That fight would be weird with
sure.
Vicious.
For sure. Only played one shot to Star Wars or Call of Cthulhu.
I mean, Vicious, he was so powerful and bored that he apparently went off, made an even more powerful empire for some reason.
Well, yeah, the Sith Empire. But think about what Darth Sidious did. He did the thing that every other Sith Lord failed to do.
Destroy the Jedi?
He destroyed the Jedi.
Yeah, basically did, yeah.
He destroyed the Jedi. That was the one thing the Sith really wanted to do, and Darth Sidious is the one to do it. And not only that, Darth Sidious is an immortal. Like the Emperor that Revan serves in the Old Republic is the same guy.
I don't think that they were they?
Yeah, same guy. Because Sidious killed every Jedi. If you read the thing, basically the guy who would become known as the Emperor, right? He tricked a bunch of Sith Lords into doing this giant ritual. And the ritual, when it was completed, sucked all of the life energy out of not only all of them, but the whole freaking planet they were on and transferred it to him.
Yeah.
And then he just lived. And his overall goal, believe it or not, was to do that, but with the whole galaxy.
Yeah, it was. I know.
So he'd become pretty much a god. But, you know, it didn't happen. But yeah, the Emperor is the Emperor. He's the same guy.
Okay.
And, but there's been other Sith Lords that were like, F that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
you do find a Sith in the SWTOR that was actually not that evil. He was a pretty honorable guy who was like, hey, fight me in a even combat.
Yeah, that guy was me. When I realized I was Revan, I went full on Sith, but I always chose the good guy option. And when I played the Old Republic online, I was a Sith warrior, but my Force thing said I was good.
Yeah, mine was too like that. I played like a Sith warrior, and I basically was like good guy, but I guess you could say just like in the Sith.
It's like I was a Sith dude, but the people I was most vicious to were other Sith dudes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a good guy. Now, my second character I made in that game and leveled up and PvP'd a lot with was a bounty hunter.
Mine was a sniper.
He was not good. My bounty hunter was a straight up asshole. Like, yeah, he was not a good guy. Not even a little bit of a good guy. Sniper, I tried to play a sniper and it was so hard I quit.
Fair enough.
Cthulhu, one shot. That's kind of, Steven, that's how the only way to play a long campaign of Call of Cthulhu is to play Hyperborea.
I don't know. You could do it, but it's a harder thing to find.
Well, you can play, what's it called? You could play Pulp Cthulhu. Which makes your characters much stronger so that they don't instantly just.
Yeah. But I was going to say, a lot of people, I think, play it as a one-shot style, but in reality, you could tone down the supernatural stuff a little bit and try to slowly burn your people into like the crazy stuff.
That's what I would absolutely do.
Yeah.
Is I would start out with the characters just doing normal whatever. So if they're professors and shit, I'd have them going out and digging shit up and doing whatever they normally do, and then slowly introduce the idea of And if
Cthulhu.
you need excitement, I mean, you could have them deal with traps on the interior of, like, tombs and stuff like that,
Or
and
treasure
drip feed
hoarders.
them the idea that there's something not quite right here until it actually hits.
You could also have them deal with like Tomb Raiders.
You could have them deal with Tomb Raiders, bandits,
Yep.
whatever, corrupt people who are trying to force them to pay them off, so that, hey, if you want to dig here, you got to pay off the corrupt, vizier, sheriff, depending on where you set your game, right? And then lean into, like, also some of the supernatural stuff should not end the game. Like, depending on your party makeup, if you've got a couple like veterans, a couple of like people who are pretty good with guns, say like secret detectives and stuff like that, you could throw cultists and deep ones at them, and that's not going to be a big deal. I mean, will it maybe make them start questioning reality? Yeah. But can they unload a 45 into a deep one and send it screaming straight to hell? Absolutely. Deep ones are really not any tougher than a human. Anything that'll kill a human will kill a deep one. So once the players realize that, hey, these guys are dicks, and I'm going to smack him in the head with a shovel, then all of a sudden deep ones are just not quite as terrifying. But yeah, Pulp Cthulhu is just, they took Cthulhu and made the characters stronger so that they could survive a lot of the horrible stuff. It's a good game. Seth Krakowski talks about it. He is basically the master, I think, of all things Cthulhu-ish. Which means at some point I am going to contact Seth Krakowski and ask him if he has looked at Hyperborea. Because when he does play fantasy, he plays AD&D. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if the guy likes AD&D, I mean, and he also likes Cthulhu, then obviously we need to get him interested in Hyperborea. All that said, guys, I'm going to take off.
Okay.
So salute. You can't see me saluting, but I am saluting.
Before you get off, though, James, I want to tell you something about SWTOR. They're planning on updating the graphics and engine on that game.
Huh.
I found that weird.
Maybe they can make some more money on it.
Maybe.
What I remember from playing SWTOR is that it was perfectly fine. I mean, I guess it's an old, dated game, honestly, but you know how it is. It's like when I originally was playing Zelda or freaking Polar Radiance, I had no problem with the graphics. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Now it's like, but it also goes back to what I was telling you about the whole, I'm getting to the point where I think that people worry about the graphics of games too much. And at a point, it's like,
I hope that they just know to stylize it a lot too. Maybe update the gameplay a little bit, but make the style like a really good stylized graphics.
Oh, that's why freaking WoW has lasted forever.
Yeah.
Is because their graphics look cartoonish, and they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So games that try to look too realistic, like EQ2 did and stuff like that. The Saga Lives, yes. Apparently under Mount Vermithorn. Not a place to go if you don't intend to get ate. So those games that went for the ultra realistic graphics were constantly having to upgrade graphics. But the games that went for the more cartoonish stylized whatever, they never had to update their graphics.
No.
because people were already okay with what they had. So
Anyway, I guess I'll see you then.
yeah, you will see me, Timmy. Thank you for hanging out with me all this freaking afternoon, and yeah,
I'll see you.
I will catch you and the rest of you.